It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Elvia Thompson. You haven't heard her here at WNAV for a while. She did have Living Green, a radio show here on WNAV. Welcome back to WNAV.
Thanks.
Elvia.
It's interesting to be on this side of the microphone for a change.
Co-founder and president of Annapolis Green. For those that do not know, what is Annapolis Green?
We're a nonprofit, an environmental nonprofit, but a little bit different. We are not a shovels in the ground kind of organization. We do stream cleanups a couple times a year, but that's not our big focus. Our big focus is really changing how people think about the environment and how they act every day to make things better around here, because everything that you do in one way or another affects the environment, but also we want to connect people to the environment. It's not something that's kind of on top of us. We are the environment. It is us.
It is, yeah.
So when we hurt the water or the air, we're hurting ourselves.
So let's go back in your history to, and I think your history probably plays a part in how you ended up co-founding Annapolis Green. For your undergraduate degree, you studied at University of Miami, got a degree in journalism, went on to grad school, public administration at Florida International University. Did you grow up thinking about the environment?
No, not really. No, this came to me later in life, actually, after I moved here in 1980. Yeah. But I did work as a newspaper reporter in Florida right before I moved up here, but not particularly in the environment. It was an association with the Spot Creek Conservancy early on, in about maybe 1983 or 4 or something like that, maybe later. That got me to thinking about what we were doing, so it kind of grew from there.
All right, Annapolis Green. So you founded this organization with?
Yeah, with Lynn Forsman, and we came to it from 2 different points of view. She was in the hospitality industry. She ran a boat charter company, and she was trying to institute green boating years ago, 15 years ago, and people just didn't understand what that meant, so she wasn't getting a lot of traction. Then somebody told her about an organization called Green Drinks, which actually started in England, and she thought, oh, drinks, Annapolis, water. Yeah, that makes sense. So Green Drinks is something that we do once a month. It's a get-together. Basically, it's a cocktail party for people who are interested in the environment. And that's what the Green Drinks movement around the world is. You could actually plan a worldwide vacation going from one Green Drinks to another.
And it's not literally drinking matcha. You can drink whatever cocktail you want.
Yeah, it's or not.
Or not.
Or not.
Right.
And it's just to get people together in person, which is even more important now in the digital age. And a lot of magical things happen at Annapolis Green's Drinks. People make connections. They get jobs from it. They meet people that they would otherwise never have occasion to run into. Friendships are renewed or made. It's a good thing, And so we theme each one. And our themes can be as varied as electric cars, local agriculture, the demise of the pollinators, stormwater runoff, of course, which is very important, air quality, you name it.
In November, have you already considered what the theme will be and where it will be? In
November, it's going to be climate change and how that affects us here, which is huge.
And the way to find out about these events?
AnnapolisGreen.com. Okay. We're a nonprofit, but we do have .com at the end of our...
And you also have a Facebook group.
We do.
Okay.
And a Facebook page that actually refers back to the group.
All right.
So Lynn Forsman started Green Drinks, and I started going to that. And she was getting maybe 20 or 30 of her friends who were interested in the environment to come and talk about what they were doing. So I said to her, well, why don't we just market this a little bit? And in the meantime, I had started AnnapolisGreen.com because I saw that there was no central place for information about the environment per se.
Right.
So I started writing about what different organizations were doing and that kind of thing, and then each one had its own events, and so I developed this calendar of events, which is pretty comprehensive on the environmental side.
That you still keep up?
Yes,
okay,
absolutely. So anyway, Lynn and I put our heads together on this, and then Green Drinks grew from about 30 people to between 100 and 200 each month.
Which is an amazing turnout for any event in the area. So you do actually have that many people come to each of these?
Mm-hmm. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on what's going on, where it's held, what it's competing with, what other events, that kind of thing. Yeah.
We're going to take a short break. More about Annapolis Green and Elvia when we come back. This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. I'm in the studio today with Elvia Thompson. She's co-founder and president of Annapolis Green. The environment is the focus of Annapolis Green. Let's talk about the polystyrene ban that didn't happen in Anne Arundel County, but did happen in Annapolis. When the dam gates were opened up at Conowingo, and I'm not just blaming Exelon, I happened to be maybe one of or the first reporter at Sandy Point State Park, and I saw with my own eyes a lot of plastic, but I saw a huge amount of polystyrene.
Yeah. So while you were at Sandy Point, I was at City Dock, and it was just heartbreaking, especially to hear the tourists who were there, the visitors saying, "What is this?" They didn't know.
Right.
But the logs and the lumber and everything, which was most of it really, was kind of brown.
Right.
And then it looked like it had been sprinkled with salt. And all those little white specks were plastic,
right.
Pieces of plastic. A lot of it polystyrene, not all of it. But as I've said, the danger with plastic in the ocean and in the bay isn't what you can see so much as what you can't see, because it's broken down into microplastic that the wildlife mistakes for food. They eat that, we eat the fish, and there you go.
Right.
And it's in us. It's in all of us right now. It's insane. So concentrating on polystyrene is a good thing because of its nature. Expanded polystyrene, which just means that it has air in it, which makes it light and a good insulator, makes it also susceptible to blowing in the wind, and it's very brittle, so it breaks up into little pieces, making that transition to microplastics even faster. And also, there's a lot of evidence that the toxic materials that this stuff is made out of, styrene and benzene, which are known carcinogens, that those materials leak into the food if these things are holding food, particularly if the food is hot, like coffee or soup or anything like that. It's just unconscionable to me that even today you can go to the grocery store and buy soup that's in a styrofoam bowl and they tell you to microwave it. That's insane. So the problem that we had with the county, are a couple things with that bill. There were something like 80 people who testified in favor of the bill. And the bill was to ban the use of it for food products. There were two groups that testified in favor. There was one restaurant, well, three. Just one in the entire county, one restaurant owner who testified in favor. But as you might expect, the industry lobbyists testified in favor, and the school board. The school board testified against the bill. So it was three. It was the lobbyists, the school board, and one rogue restaurant owner.
And this goes back to money.
Absolutely, it goes back to money. The heck with kids' health, or the heck with, a healthy environment. It's all about money. Anyway, it did pass the county council, and then the county executive vetoed it. So he sent me his rationale for it. It's a letter that's publicly available to anyone, his rationale for the veto. So he sent his staff to the EPA to ask what's wrong with styrofoam. Well, the U.S. EPA doesn't recognize the health issues with styrofoam. And styrofoam is a brand name like Kleenex.
Right.
So we're talking about expanded polystyrene. Our EPA doesn't recognize the health problems with it. They say, oh, well, yeah, there's styrene and benzene that leaks into the food, but not in enough quantity to hurt you. Really? Do you really want styrene in your coffee? I don't. Our EPA doesn't recognize that. But it's recognized in other countries. It's recognized everywhere around the world that there's a problem with this stuff. So why are we, if there is even a doubt, why would you subject yourself to something that could give you cancer? That was his rationale.
And what didn't pass at the county level now has at the city level, City of Annapolis.
It has. Of course, what we really need is a statewide ban for this to make sense.
And will you be advocating for that?
Yeah.
And straws. Earlier this summer,
yeah,
straws became your focus.
Yes.
And I actually ran into you on the street, and you said something to the effect of, I wish we had expanded it, but go on.
We have, yeah.
Okay.
So we realized that this was a problem, and enough of a problem that other jurisdictions around the world had banned the use of plastic straws. So you may say, oh, one straw, big deal. Well, yeah, but multiply that by millions. And it's just another way to get plastic to pollute our environment. And do you really need a straw? You know, some people do. People with certain medical conditions, yes, they can't drink without a straw.
Right.
We understand that. We're just saying, don't make it this automatic, mindless thing that you, on the part of restaurants and bars, that they stick a plastic straw into everything, whether you want it or not.
Make
That's
it
all
so
we're
you
saying.
ask for it.
Exactly.
Like bread.
Yeah. And I think that most people, unless they have that medical condition, will say, no, that's okay. I don't need it. Yeah. So we started with a campaign that we call Don't Suck, Sip Responsibly. But now we're expanding that to a new campaign that is called It Starts with a Straw. So that will include a reduction, if not out-and-out ban, but at least a reduction in the use of plastic bags, which are terrible. They float everywhere and they pollute the environment. And again, wildlife mistakes it for food. And also the polystyrene and the water bottles. So water bottles are really interesting. I'd like to direct your viewers to
Listeners.
a video. Sorry.
Although
well, they may be watching
the YouTube. Yeah,
That's
you're right.
That's right. Direct them to a video that's on YouTube that's called The Story of Bottled Water. The Story of Bottled Water. It's made by the same folks who made The Story of Stuff, which is worth seeing as well. And these are little movies that show how did we get to this point. When I was growing up, there was no bottled water except maybe Pellegrino from Italy.
Right.
That was it.
They were glass, I think.
Yeah, they were
I
glass.
think they were, yeah.
They were. But the soda industry decided that they needed to sell us something else other than soft drinks. And they thought, okay, what can we sell these silly people? Let's tell them their water is bad, and that we have better water. Although a lot of the bottled water is just tap water
right.
that maybe they run through another filter. You know, but here's the thing. Again, the plastic that this stuff is packaged in, if you put it in the sun, it starts to leach the chemicals. So when you buy bottled water, you don't know where that bottle's been. Right. You don't know if it's been sitting in a hot truck someplace. Yeah. You don't know if it's been out in the sun. And besides which, it's costing you more than gasoline. It's
the water itself. It is out of. Okay, let's take a short break. We'll come right back and continue the discussion. This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Elvia Thompson. She's co-founder and president of Annapolis Green. She's not a fan of plastic. She wants it out of the environment, as many of us do. Bags. We now are at the point where the recycling facility doesn't take the plastic bags.
That's right.
Which is a big deal. It's a big issue because the end where they were being bought no longer buys them, which may or may not have been foreign countries or whatever.
There are places to put them in most of the grocery stores. There's also a collection box at Macy's in the foyer from the Bestgate side entrance. But we are developing an agreement with the Trex Company. And the Trex Company, those are the folks who make decking and all. They use that material, which we call film, because it's like filmy.
Right.
They use that material to make their product. So we're working out an arrangement with them, and we have.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So we've taken the film from several events, including the Rotary Crab Feast, to them for them to do something with, and also we took some of that as well to Growls here in town. They were nice enough to accept huge bales that we had collected from the Crab Feast. So we're working out a solution for that.
That's great.
But you're absolutely right that the MRF, the Materials Recycling Facility, which is where all of our recycling goes, will not take it. So if recycling is in a plastic bag, it's likely that all that will end up in the landfill, because they try to open the bags and sort it, but the conveyor belts go by so fast that they can't catch it all. So the best thing is just don't take your recyclables, put them in the bin by themselves, and then the folks who come to collect it will dump it right into the truck.
Okay, October 30th, Managing Landscapes Without Pesticides at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Annapolis, 333 Dubois Road, 7 to 9 p.m. I'm kind of excited about this.
Yeah.
I'm curious what people can use, homeowners, commercial building owners can use.
Yeah. So we're having an expert, one of the founders of Beyond Pesticides, come and talk to anybody who wants to attend at the church. About how you can basically maintain the outdoors, but he'll talk about the indoors too, of your home without poisoning everything in sight. you
Right.
know. The first thing you should reach for if you have a problem with weeds, for instance, is not Roundup, which is an indiscriminate killer of everything and a poisoner of our waters, but yet it's still on store shelves.
It is.
It's amazing.
Although there was quite a lawsuit with that, so we'll see if that...
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, so he's going to come and talk about how basically to live in a more healthy manner. And it's a really big deal for us to have him. And we're co-sponsoring it with a number of other organizations. So yeah, it'll be free. Of course, we're always happy to have donations, but yeah, please come.
Yeah, and speaking of donations, if people just want to make a donation without coming to the events, your website is set up for that?
Yes.
Okay. One more time on the website.
AnnapolisGreen.com.
What do we be focusing on in the coming months?
Two things. We're going to be focusing on the reduction of plastic pollution. We talked a little bit about plastic bottles, plastic bags, and the straws. Well, I'm happy to say there are at least 30 restaurants in the area that are no longer serving plastic straws or are serving them only on request. So that's great.
Congratulations
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. And we hope that they're all, I know several of them are putting little tent cards on their tables or posters up saying that they're not doing this because they want to be environmental stewards. It's wonderful. We're just so happy
It really
about
is.
that. So plastic pollution is one. Another one is to grow the infrastructure for electric cars. Transportation is one of the biggest areas where we pollute the atmosphere, where we just continue to dump carbon into the atmosphere. If you watch television at all, just about every commercial is about new cars. And they're all gas cars. Very few commercials, a few, are about electric cars. And we can't, in view of the report that the International Panel on Climate Change just put out, that basically says we're toast if we don't do something in the next couple of years. One of the places where we can really do something is to change what we drive and what big fleets like truck fleets, our city fleet, what they drive. Electric cars are here. I've been driving electric for 4 years. It's absolutely doable. The cars are affordable now.
Yeah, and they're nice looking.
Yeah.
Many really nice looking options out there. Has there been a solution for the battery, recycling of the batteries?
I can't address that.
Okay.
I can tell you that I lease my car, which I think is a good way to go because the technology is changing quickly.
Right.
That's an option. I can't address the battery issue.
Okay.
But there are many models of electric cars right now that are super affordable. You know, people think of, oh, well, Tesla, I can't spend $100,000 on a car. Well, you don't need to. If you're going to buy one, you can buy a Chevy Bolt for about $29,000, and that's after the $7,500 essentially rebate that you get back from the federal government, plus $3,000 from the state of Maryland for as long as that lasts. There's a finite amount of money, but you can get a smaller car for as little as $16,000. And most people in the course of their day, I'm not talking about long trips, but most people in their average day don't drive more than maybe 30, 40 miles, and that's absolutely doable for an electric car.
Right.
But what we need to have is more infrastructure. We need to have more charging. And one of the things that I really want to see in Annapolis is for us to electrify the fleet. A lot of
city fleet.
Absolutely. Yeah. The city cars that the inspectors use and code enforcement folks and all that they're not driving that much. Right. And stop start, which is the worst thing that you can do for an internal combustion engine. Get an electric engine, no problem. So there are also electric buses available now and school buses even.
All right. Well, thank you very much for all that you do for our environment here around the area, Elvia, and to Lynn also. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. It's interesting to be on this side.
And again, thanks for joining us. This has been the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. We will see you next week.